This is Arin Crumley's YouTube channel, a place for a bunch of long stuff that most people won't have time to watch. Okay, so coming up here in this video, we have an interview between me and Hugh Hart from Wired.com. The interview was for an article that will go live on the homepage of Wired.com this weekend, and I will post a direct link to the article in the notes. The interview is basically Hugh asking me about how we use the internet to build an audience for Four-Eyed Monsters, and then how we use the internet ultimately to deliver Four-Eyed Monsters to the audience. And it basically chronicles from Slam Dance, when we first started going to a festival, all the way through doing our theatrical release, and then through our experiment with Second Life, and then ultimately through posting the film on YouTube, and provides a lot of details about how it came together working with YouTube and working with Spout. So here you go. So your question was, we seem to really know how to work it, you were saying.
Yes, I'm most impressed because, you know, I mean, it's great to be an artist and all that, but it's useful, you know, especially if you've got something you believe in, you've got to figure out, you know, you got to get your hands dirty and call up the theater. I've looked at some of those videos, you know, calling up the theater owners and sort of arguing with them and get why they ought to get, you know, take a chance with your project and stuff. I mean, I admire that because you're getting in the trenches and promoting your own thing, and sometimes that's what you need to do to get it done. But the way that I just, you know, find that sort of the whole all the tools that you use and the way that you take advantage of those internet elements to get the word out is really interesting. So I wondered if that was from the get-go part of your plan, or how you built that out as you went along.
Well, we did always have a sensation that that somehow there would be a way to release the film on the internet, but I guess we were thinking like of file sharing and stuff like that. And we did not, like, while we were making the movie, we did not really think much at all about distribution at all, whether it be internet-based or traditional. It was sort of once it got completed and we realized that it had been accepted to a festival where there was going to be distributors there. That's when we really started looking at it and doing research, and all the research that we did pointed us towards traditional distribution, you know, getting someone to represent your film, taking it to different festivals, all of these things that kind of seem like, okay, and how do I make that happen? They're not very empowering things. They're things that require the world to cooperate, and it's, you know, and so we're just like, okay, well, we can hope that happens, and a lot of things did happen. You know, we did win awards, we did get good reviews, we did go to a lot of film festivals. We even, you know, got distributors to look at the film. But the thing that did not happen is ultimately nobody decided that they had any kind of clue as to how to make money off a film like this, because they don't really know how to promote it. They don't really know, like, where, you know, the particular audience that's interested in this kind of a story, they don't know where to find these people. They were at a complete loss, and so we were kind of thinking to ourselves, like, well, you guys are just being closed-minded, you know. But then we started realizing, actually, we don't really know either. We don't really know where to begin. So then we started thinking about it, like, where would we find people that would be interested in our film, beyond the people who sort of wander through a festival just because of a general interest in independent film. But beyond that, you know, where are the people going to be that could really kind of connect to our storyline and understand, you know, who is this relevant to? And the obvious thing was MySpace was kind of catching on big time, you know, a while back, and music was doing a really good job promoting on the site, and we sort of decided, well, we should promote our film on MySpace, and this was before there was a film section even on MySpace. So we went and we met with them and kind of talked about our ideas that, like, films should have additional content that it's not like a trailer, but it's like extra stuff that is available on the web, and that we wanted to make a episodic sort of series about the conflict and drama and sort of the relationship story of making the film, and put that out there. And they were really into that, and they said that they would put it on their homepage when we had it ready. So back in October, I think it was October 12th of 2005. That's when we posted our first online episode about how the film had been made, and that was the same day that the video iPod was coming out. So there started to be all this dialogue about like the fact that we had our film on MySpace. I mean, we had a film profile on MySpace, and that we're making videos, and iPod, just things were sort of like kind of coming together, and we were getting a lot of blogs talking about our project. And then we were like, well, this is great, let's just keep posting more episodes. And as sort of the viewership for our little online series grew, everybody started messaging us saying like, well, what is this film that you guys made? Like, and we're like, oh, it's nothing. We took it to some festivals. It's not being released. You're never going to see it. Don't worry about it. And people are like, no, that's not okay. We need to see this thing. Like, what's going on? And so we kind of knew that there would be an opportunity if these online episodes went well. We knew there'd be an opportunity to maybe try and self-distribute the film.
Right.
Sort of bypassing distributors altogether.
Yeah.
So then we started embarking in that process. We didn't really know how it was going to go down. I mean, we have, and there's tons of ideas about how ideally things would work, but in present, it always becomes a dilemma. How in the present day world can we make that work? So what we started thinking about was like, well, we could start selling DVDs at any time. But we're not completely confident in the edit because we were still making a few changes to the film, and we wanted to show it to more people, and we wanted to show it to the people, to our kind of audience that now has, found us by finding our online videos. We want to show it to them and see how it goes over, and see if we want to change the edit anymore and stuff. So we didn't really want to release a DVD. And there was no good platforms for selling any downloads, really, to speak of. I mean, there's a few options for that. But really, we wanted the film to have a theatrical life because we thought that what we saw from all the social networking stuff was that people were commenting on all of our videos and then commenting on each other's comments and then becoming friends with each other because they both know about our project. We wanted to take that social dynamic and bring that into like the offline world, and also for people that don't sit around and troll MySpace and YouTube all the time, we wanted them to have an opportunity to maybe discover our film just kind of randomly, like, oh, I was just hanging out with some friends and they wanted to go to this thing and I went to it. So we wanted to be able to expand in that way. So what we did is we asked everybody to give us their zip codes if they would like to see our film. And then we got all of these, clusters of people, mainly in the major cities, but also in a few kind of surprising places that you wouldn't have expected, where we then knew, okay, we should definitely try and book the film in these places where people are interested in it. And then we were kind of in a dilemma where it's like, well, book the film, where? In just a mainstream theater? They're not going to want to book it. So we needed somehow to acquire a directory of independent art house theaters, which doesn't really exist, unfortunately, on the internet. So we invited our subscriber base to help us create one by basically just suggesting local theaters that they could imagine a movie like ours playing in.
I see.
So we got all these things submitted to us, and then turned that into a database, which is actually publicly available for anyone, any other filmmaker or anyone to use on our website. And
so you really enrolled or enlisted the fans themselves to, in a sense, become co-producers or micro-producers or something.
Yeah, I mean one.
In terms of helping to get the actual theatrical life of this thing out there in the world.
Well, yeah, I mean one term thrown around is crowdsourcing. Basically we took the problem of not knowing where we should book the film, and we crowdsourced that. And then we took the problem of not having theaters, and we crowdsourced that. And so then it was down to like basically figuring out, okay, what can we do to release the film, and you know, what's the cutoff? We did a few screenings where we kind of started to gauge, like, when somebody requests the film, what does that translate in terms of people showing up to see the film? And it was a pretty much 1-to-1 ratio, because not everybody who requests the film comes, but the people who do come bring friends, so it kind of works itself out.
Right.
So using that information, like pretty much like hard numbers about,
That's the Thursdays in September thing, right?
Yeah, we put together Thursdays in Septembers, booked the theaters. You know, that was a lot of manual labor. I really hope that someday theaters can just look at like the demand for a film. I mean, if you look at sites like spout.com, they actually let people say, oh, these are films that I would like to see. So I do think we're coming upon a time at which theaters can do this on their own. They can just look at their local area and say, well, what do people in our town want to see? Let's book that. But we sort of faked it by basically calling the theaters, you know, and sort of saying, hey, well, we have this information about our film. And you should try this out, because this could be the answer to your problem with, you know, you're complaining about your companies maybe going out of business, your theater's going to need to shut down. This kind of stuff can actually keep you afloat, knowing through social networking what people actually want to see in a theater. Because so many times people just want to see DVDs or downloads, or now even just YouTube. So they were kind of into the idea that that this would be a good experiment. So we were able to get the film booked relatively easily, and that went well, you know, and it was very, you know, it created a lot of personal connections. Like we made friends with people that came out to the screenings. Like we went there, and Susan and I would do Q&A sessions afterwards, and people would throw like parties. Some people threw a party in LA at the same time there was a party in New York, and we video chatted between the two different parties, and everybody, all the people who had seen the film in New York were talking to all the people who had seen the film in LA. Just, you know, just basically a lot of like kind of fun, interesting things, just trying to really just bring together a community of people that are interested in art, you know, in film, and you know, relationships, all the things that the film's about. Yeah. So that was really cool. But then, you know, then we started moving into like, okay, now we really want to release a DVD. But one of the things that we learned just through talking to friends and sort of thinking about it ourselves is that people need to see a film before they can like shell out money and buy a DVD. And it's something that, like, you know, movies that get released in theaters, like something like Eternal Sunshine for a Spotless Mind, if it does really well and people get a chance to see it, and then they're like huge fans of the film, it totally makes sense to want to buy and own that film. So, but you know, our theatrical experience had only been like 6 cities, and only like 4 screenings in each city. I mean, the number of people that have seen our film are not really going to justify like major DVD sales. I mean, from an industry perspective, your DVD sales are kind of a direct ratio to your theatrical gross. So on those metrics, our DVD was sort of set to just failure. So we were thinking, okay, well, you know, we want to sell a DVD. We want to just do it through our website, because that way we get the most amount of money per person that buys it. But, you know, we really need to find some more ways that people can see our film, because regardless of whether or not they buy a DVD, they need to at least see it to even think about it. Because the whole thing of trying to muscle people and force them, like, you know, you're just so teased by the project that you have to buy it. It's like, that stuff just ultimately doesn't work. So what we did is we did a little test where we, you know, I look at Second Life as kind of a sort of a thought experiment environment where you can basically try out ideas to later try out more in the real world. But what we did is we did a screening in Second Life that was free, and we were curious about what that would do to our DVD sales.
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm flipping the tape. So you decided to do Second Life as a sort of experiment.
Yeah.
Okay, pick it up. Yeah.
And what happened is we got 500 people to come into Second Life and see our film, which is first of its kind event. Like no one had really ever screened a film in Second Life like that. And I think we sold somewhere around like 50 DVDs, just by kind of like saying at the end like DVDs are available.
Yeah.
And so that little boost right there was like, okay, well, of the people that see the film, like close to 10% of them are then interested in getting the DVD. And we started thinking about other things we could do online, and we had seen some documentaries on Google Video, and we really wanted to get the film up on Google Video. So we reached out to our good buddy George Strompoulos, I think is how you pronounce his last name, over there, and he said that he no longer worked for Google Video, and that he now works for YouTube. So,
Okay.
and he suggested that we put the film up on YouTube for a week, and you know, he suggested we send them some DVDs, and he could show the film to their editorial staff, the people who pick out what's on the homepage,
Right.
and just sort of like, you know, kind of hope something can come together. And we ended up meeting Sarah Pollock, who used to work for Miramax and recently started working for YouTube. And she's kind of like pushing their film stuff, their film and animation category that they have now on YouTube. We met with her when she was here for the Tribeca Film Festival, and just started like talking about how awesome this could be. It was just clear that like it's sort of the ultimate YouTube video, because it's like Susan and I sharing our lives, you know, talking back and forth through video, just like what always happens on YouTube anyways.
Right.
And just it's all about these, you know, different communication mediums, and ultimately one of the themes that I try and always kind of push in the film is really like the evolution of communication. The fact that now we have all these new things at our disposal, whether it be text messaging or sending people videos that convey more than you ever could in a conversation. So it just made complete sense that is an environment where the film should be. So it just became a kind of debate around like, you know, YouTube posted a blog, I think a couple weeks ago now, about their revenue share program that they had opened up to like Ask a Ninja and a few other popular YouTube content creators. And they wanted us to be a part of that, which meant that the banners on the film, on the page that the film was playing on, would be getting us some revenue. And so that obviously was something we were down with, and it became a question of like, well, who should the banners be? And they want to collaborate with us on that a little bit, and we were thinking, well, it should be something related to film, ideally. And so, you know, a few ideas were tossed around, and we threw out the idea of Spout.com, because we met them a couple of years ago at a film festival, and they were just, we just had all these, you know, crazy conversations, like sitting around at these festivals about like, you know, how should the future of film distribution work, and talking about how like, well, ideally, you know, people want to see a film, and boom, it just pops up in all the places where someone would want to see it, and people are going to be downloading films and seeing them for free on the internet. There's going to be different ways of like using social networking, and you know, it's not so much about money, it's more about social currency, and then social currency can be turned into monetary currency. You know, just all of these like really kind of out there ideas, and a lot of these ideas have been implemented into what we've done with Four-Eyed Monsters, and a lot of these ideas have been implemented into what Spout has done with Spout.com. So, you know, a conversation sort of started there where it's like, okay, you know, they wanted to do the YouTube banners. It was sort of like, well, what else could they do? And they thought of the idea of helping us get out of debt, because incidentally, we are $100,000 in credit card debt, which seems crazy to people, but you know, spending 3.5 years of your life full time on a project, not having a job, and basically paying your way through on credit cards, and it pretty much, it doesn't, you know, in New York, living in New York City, that's pretty much poverty level. So that's not a lot of, it's not that outrageous to be in that much credit card debt, but it is an unfortunate fact, and it does sort of paralyze us in a lot of ways from working on new projects, and so they really wanted to you know, help out with that in a substantial way, beyond the banners. So they said that we could do a promotion where they, you know, every person who joined Spout Spout would give us $1, so it's not costing the person anything, but we're
Yeah.
getting $1, and so immediately I was like, yeah, that sounds good, let's do that. But then we were brainstorming about that and thinking about like, okay, so we're thinking like, wait a minute, this might go over really freaking well, because we were thinking like, if this if a featured video on YouTube is talking about a promotion where all you have to do is join a website, which just takes a second, and that'll get us $1. We started thinking like, okay, we really need to explain this at the beginning of the film, and just like ask people to pause the video, go over, join Spout, and then let the video. It's good because it'll let the video load, and then come back and watch the film. And it made sense too, anyways, because then after they're done watching the film, they're a member of Spout, and Spout's all about reviewing films. And people rating films, so then they could pop back over to Spout and write a review for the film. And basically, it worked out like amazingly, to the point where even people who don't like the film send us messages saying, hey, it's not really my kind of film, but I joined Spout anyways.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where it's just like, wow, that's like really awesome. And so now actually, we're just about to post a video tonight explaining that because having the film up for 1 week went so well, we're actually going to extend it another 2 months and leave it online until August 15th.
Oh, really? Because I was wondering about that. I was thinking today's the sad day that brings the curtain down on you, but not so, huh?
Yeah, we're going to leave it up because it just seems like, how could we not? Also,
why not?
We've already
Absolutely.
made, in the independent film world, in any kind of world, it's pretty insane that a independent film has made $20,000 in 1 week, showing itself for free online. That doesn't, it's like...
It's a totally new, what would you call it, business model?
Yeah, so our goal is, because Spout's willing to go up to $100,000, and that's the amount of debt we're in. So our goal is like, let's leave it up a couple more months, and we're going to be pushing our fan base to let everyone that they know that, like, listen, if everyone who's joined Spout gets 5 other people to join Spout, mission accomplished. And so we want to give people some time for that. And really, I think that is what will make film history, when, like, $100,000 is made from a film being on YouTube, and the filmmakers are out of debt and can go make more projects.
Exactly.
You start to see, like, wow, that's a complete that's been taken to fruition, and there can be more things happening like this. And Viacom can sue whoever they want in the internet space, but if there's a thriving ecosystem for independent content, then they lose in the end anyways.
Right. Well, I really sort of admire and enjoy listening to you sort of chronicle the tale of facing each obstacle or whatever, and then kind of figuring out a way to get through, over, or around it in some kind of new way. And in the meantime, I was just looking at one of the links you sent me. You guys earlier on had been taking advantage of Dig and Reddit and various networking sites that, urging the fan base that you're starting with to go out and kind of help spread the word about by using viral, crowdforcing or whatever, broaden awareness of what you're up to.
Yeah.
Which you left no stone unturned as far as that goes.
Yeah, there are so many tools available today. The main ones are, anything that lets people subscribe to content. That's what we like about YouTube's subscribe feature. That's what we like about iTunes podcasting, where people can just, hit a button and subscribe and get every new thing that somebody's making. Because as a filmmaker, it kind of is cool to know that, wow, I have a built-in audience. Like, I have a bunch of people that have effectively said, I want to see whatever else you create and post.
Exactly.
And so that having your audience, at your fingertips enables you to do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, so that's that. The computer, I guess, froze or something, stopped recording the rest of the interview. But basically, the rest of it was just kind of us talking about some of the actual tools that we used, bside.com, MySpace, obviously, YouTube, obviously, and iTunes podcasting, WordPress for our website, and just basically just the variety of tools that are utilized for Forward Monsters. You can always, if you want to know more about that, you can always look at forwardmonsters.com. We have on the sidebar, it says filmmaking tools on the right side of our website, and it links to everything that we use to do our project. Thanks for watching this not too long interview, but kind of long. And yeah, if you like this kind of weird stuff, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.